Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Yes, it's Allcott. Yes, he's somehow wearing yellow. I've just realised that. And yes, he's wearing a gilet because it's cold. Yeah, I hate myself as well. Welcome. And welcome to Deadline Day. I hope you're enjoying all the money that's being flown about. It's an interesting time. Queen's Park Rangers don't have any of that money, and thus we're not spending any of that money. But we move. Got such an amazing stream here for you. We don't do this too often, but I'm excited to get you guys involved, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. I've got a fan from every single Premier League team. Come on. And you might get Giddy Allcott as well, because I haven't slept much, okay? So if I get any words wrong or things wrong or I get a bit delirious, just go with it. Am I right? First things first, you'll see there's a pinned comment right at the top of this stream. Now, something very, very big is kind of happening, and I've not done it before, and I would really, really appreciate some lovely faces at this event. So basically, there's a live event called Pod Live, and Spotify have invited me to do a live show there. So I'm going to be doing that. This is the link. The link's at the top of the chat. I'll put it in the description as well. I would really, really love to have people that care about the channel there on that evening. It would be really, really special to me. And I'm doing an evening where we're going to talk about the 10 or so moments that have shocked the world of football. Okay? I had a butterfly effect. Some will call it the old ripple effect. It's that kind of idea for this podcast. And it's going to be in North London on Friday the 10th, 7 o'clock kickoff. So Friday night should be good fun. So if you do want to get involved, there is a link right there. Click on it and come and see me and come say hello. I've, since things got going for me, it happened in COVID, and I've not been able to meet enough of you guys. And this is a great example of an opportunity for me to do it. So I'm partly really scared that no one's going to turn up. I'm also partly super excited of a great evening with a guy called Chris Ryan, who's a really, really amazing podcaster. You might know about him from some of the stuff he does with The Ringer. He's going to be there chatting with me. And also we're going to get your views on moments that have sort of shook the world of football as well. So if you want to do that nice hour of football chat, then please do consider buying some tickets and joining me. An evening with James Allcott and Chris Ryan, it says. That seems nice, doesn't it? Where is it? There you go. Okay. Right, enough of that. It's Deadline Day. Let's talk to some football fans, and let's kick off at the bottom of the table. We're going to go from the bottom to the top. We're going to talk about all the big dealings here, and we've got a nice amount of time here to get through them all. First up is Ben Cully. Ben, are you there, my friend?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. How are you?
Are you one of the people on Twitter who sort of comes after me and says I don't talk about Southampton enough?
No, I think sometimes, depending on how the week goes, it's better if they don't get talked about too much. So
I
can't complain that.
I completely understand how that feels coming from a QPR fan. Right, let's get into your squad. We've got it. I'll get it up here and we can kind of have a look at that. We'll talk about the ins and outs from this squad as well. You've gone with a very sort of young, transfer policy, haven't you, over the last few months, or certainly the last year or so. Do you, as a fan base, are you sort of happy with that? Do you think it's one of those where you've got to sort of plant the seeds to go forwards? And when it comes to Deadline Day, with a team that is bottom of the league at this moment in time, despite it not being as ugly as it looks in the league table, do you feel like you need to go and get a little bit more experience? How are you feeling about Deadline Day?
Yeah, I think so. During the summer window, when it was very obvious, it was a focus on youth, the players we were kind of bringing in. It was exciting. I think it was something to look forward to. There was that concerns over the last few seasons. We've been in and about that kind of relegation zone, so you think maybe we could have done with a bit more experience. Yeah. Some of them have progressed further than others. They've done better than we thought. Some of them have not done that great. But I think Deadline Day so far, I'm pleased with who we've got. If we could get another, possibly one, I think it'd cap off a pretty good window for us, and I'd be more confident going forward. But I think the main takeaway is we need that striker, and I think that needs to get crossed over the line today. Whether that happens or not still remains to be seen, I think.
And so, who are you linked with in terms of getting that striker over the line?
So I think it came out yesterday. We're linked with Vitinha. He looked like he was possibly going to come, then decided that Marseille, they came in to see him as well, and he'd picked up Marseille over Southampton. Can understand why he's done that. The two at the moment, it looks like we're linked with Onuachu, I think of Genk, but they don't seem to be wanting to play ball, as it were. And we've also had a late bid, I believe, for Zapata gone in. Don't know if that's been confirmed or not
Ooh,
yet, but yeah,
Zapata, that would be fantastic.
I think either one of those, if you can get them over the line, I think it would cap a good enough window, I think, for where we are at the moment, and give us a good confidence boost going forward.
Because so a couple of players that so for anyone who doesn't know, you've brought in Orsic earlier in the window. I really like that as an option. I think he's
Yep, me
like
too.
a more mobile Shaqiri for me. And you brought in Sulemana as well. I don't know too as much about him. Can you tell me anything that you know about him?
No, I think that one was a kind of a surprise for me as well. I think
Sure.
that only came out possibly today, and I'd seen one of the comments linked was he basically had the choice between us and Everton, and it looks like he's chosen us over Everton. So again, that's another big confidence boost of a
Yeah.
rival who's relatively close to us in the table. I think that's good that he's came with us. So yeah, hoping he'll make some kind of an instant impact. That would be great.
Mm. So Zapata, because I said for a deadline day signing, I was saying someone like Taremi, which is kind of like
Yeah,
just to have someone who's that bit of a target man, a bit of a brosier kind of vibe, and someone who can kind of get you over the line. If you don't get Zapata or any striker kind of that ilk, do you think you can still survive with the players that have come through?
I think we have a capable enough squad to survive. If I'm looking at in terms of up front, we've got Adams. I don't know what's been happening in this season. He just doesn't seem like he's been at the races. A lot
Mm,
of missed chances.
same.
I think maybe last season, so we had Broja. We could kind of lean on him a bit. Broja came in with some goals himself. It seems Adams is kind of the main focus, the man to get the goals up front. Um, if we don't get a striker in, I do think there's enough quality left in that squad to get us out of trouble. If Adams come good, possibly maybe Adam Armstrong if he's given more of a go, or Mara possibly,
Mm.
and then James Ward-Prowse to come up with some goals as well because he always seems to find some goals.
The one thing I do like about the squad, and we'll have to move on after this, sadly, because I think there's a lot of players, like I say, in terms of planting those seeds and watching them grow, there's a lot of players in that squad that could be really, really good fun as
Yeah,
time progresses. And I don't hate it because I think it's when we look at the table, it's one of those ones where it's so tight down there. There's so much
yeah,
money in that. There's so much money in that league, and there's so much money probably to be made as well for a Southampton that actually, if you can go out and get the best youngsters and give them a chance, you're gonna then be able to do a Brighton in your own way because that's the aim now, isn't it? Everyone wants to do a Brighton, right?
oh yeah, 100%. I think for me, when the summer window came, the most exciting signing for me was Joe Aribo from Rangers. I thought really excited to see what we can do. Early couple of games showed a bit of promise, maybe fallen away a bit since then. But I
Bit
think the one for
isolated up there, isn't he? When he's kind of been quite far forward at times, isn't he? But I like him as
yeah,
well. He's
and I
got a
think
goal in him.
Yeah, and I think there was a preseason game we had earlier where he's went from one half of the pitch, dribbled all the way up, and somehow put it in, and I thought, wow, this guy could be really good.
Yeah.
Not pushed on as much, but I think I'm really excited about Carlos Alcaraz. I think he's only had 90 minutes against Newcastle last week, but was really impressed with what I saw with him. And I think a midfield based with him, James Ward-Prowse, and Romeo Lavia, if he can stay fit, I would be very excited to see that going forward.
JMO and Dylan in the chat are saying that Alcaraz is a baller, one to watch. Siko Mara is a baller, says APT. This is what I mean. I think there's a lot of players here that like the hipsters would really, really enjoy. And yeah, Southampton again. I'll be honest. They do get glossed over a hell of a lot, but it's almost nice to see. So with these Excel spreadsheets, what we're trying to do here is put together kind of the things in borders are sort of the areas that they need to strengthen. The players in green are players that are sort of within their space within the squad are a good fit. The yellow is an area maybe you could improve or they haven't totally proven their worth as of yet. And then red is players that probably aren't up to the level anymore. And there is a lot of green and yellow there. So I think, yeah, I don't know, a couple of results. It's amazing, isn't it? The way you start to change the way you talk about it. Because Nathan Jones, what he will do with all those dribblers, he will say to them, go on, have a little go.
Yep.
And that might be enough. It might be as simple as that. But that, yeah, you do need to score more goals. I think Ward-Prowse with 5, Shea Adams with 4 is not enough. Ben, we could talk forever. I'm gonna have to move on, I'm afraid, my friend. Amazing first call. Thank you so
Absolute
much,
pleasure,
mate.
James.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hero, absolute legend. Okay, on to Everton, and we have. I'm presuming it says Josepe. I'm presuming it's either Jose or Joseph. Time will tell as they make their way on. And as I look for my other slipper, and he's found it. Come on. Hit the like button if you're wearing slippers right now. Let's have a look at. You tell I'm tired. So is it Jose or Joseph?
It's just Joe, mate.
I'm going to go with Jose. Right. So Jose, I'm looking at the league table right now, and I got a bit giddy about Everton yesterday. I think because I was pushing Sean Dyche. I was saying, not literally. That was suicide. I was saying he would be a really good fit for Everton, and I was like, with the squad that you've got, the setup that you've got, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll be absolutely fine. But when I look at this table, Jose, I'm not sure now. How are you feeling about it? Because we are here. It's sort of rinse and repeat from last year, isn't it? In terms of new manager flying in. Okay, scrabble about. Who can we get? Who's going to work with this manager? How wary are you of spending money to get some players in, or do you think it is one where you must make some signings between now and the close of the deadline?
Oh, mate. Well, it's like you say, it's exactly the same as every season, isn't it? We don't seem to learn. I feel like the appointment of Sean Dyche it feels okay. I think he's our best chance of staying up, but it feels slightly uninspired. I don't see how he carries the team forward after keeping us up. I mean, I know he did a great job with Burnley, but I think, to go from Ancelotti, 2 seasons ago, to then Rafa Benitez, almost getting us relegated, and then Frank Lampard, seemed like he might be the guy. He might sort of do a bit of an Arteta sort of rebuild and go forward from there.
But do you know what got you into this problem in the first place? One must beware hubris, I like to say on this channel. And I think that is the case with Everton. If I was an Everton fan, I would go, I want really ugly shithouse football, and I want to smash up some teams, and I want some ugly wins, and I want us to just get back to mid-table, and we'll live there for a season, and then you can gently move again and do it the right way. Because like the transfer windows have just been so bad so often. And I do think, I don't know if you watch the channel a lot, but I often say like the squad has real size to it. And that's why I feel like it's a really good appointment.
It does, it's like it probably is, you're right, it is probably a good appointment for Sean Dyche. I think the squad fits his style of play. If we get Onuachu in, which I know there's a couple of teams linked to him, I know you like him, then that would be good.
I'd like to see him in the league. Let's put it that way.
I think, it could go forward from there, but we're just a mess, aren't we? There doesn't seem to be any direction. The fans of the club, like the fans of the board, are so separated. There's been 2 protests in the last 2 seasons, and around a similar sort of time. We just don't seem to learn from mistakes. Every transfer window is the same as, we're linked with players all transfer window, and then on the last day you get thrown this huge list of players that we think we might get, and we'll end up with it looked like we were getting Andre Ayew earlier today, but obviously that's just gone out the window as well.
So is that so run through the runners and riders right now, because I've got the squad up here. There's an option maybe for another left back. If I think some people might think that Mikalenko might not be a sort of Sean Dyche kind of left back, and Godfrey isn't a left back. So that might be a road that you want to go down. We've got some sort of areas sort of circled in red here. Gordon's obviously gone, so that might be an area where you want to strengthen and use that money. But most importantly, it's got to be the striking position, surely. So talk me through some of the rumours on deadline day and how you feel about them.
I mean, so we're linked to a lot of players that I haven't really heard of before. Back even 2 seasons ago, you'd sort of at least have heard of the players that we're looking at. But I know we're looking at a few players from the Championship. I think we've just been linked to a player from QPR. From Reading, Lucas Shaw. These are all like. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I don't watch enough Championship football to really make a comment. But
Zhao's solid when he can stay fit. He's always scored goals for Reading, but it is in the Championship. There are a few of those kind of strikers that you could go for, but I do wonder if the environment that you would go into as one of those strikers, like a Gyökeres is another player that you've been linked with for Coventry striker, I think would be really, really good for you. But good for you in like a calmer climate. Kind of coming in, because say someone like Sims, like in the video I did yesterday about Sean Dyche, we were saying that Sims could be a good option, but it's a horrible environment to come into to kind of like, be that
And,
different. Do you know what I mean? You want to be able to
you're
sort of
exactly
gently
right.
grow.
There's so many players that don't want to come to Everton at the moment because they've seen videos of fans chasing Anthony Gordon's car down the road and screaming at Yerry Mina outside his car, and like it just it's not a nice atmosphere to be in.
Yeah.
When when Everton fans are happy and Goodison Park's rocking, it's a brilliant atmosphere. And you can really get behind it, and players love it. But as soon as something like with how disjointed the club is at the moment, it's not a place that a young budding player should be. It's not it's not a positive atmosphere. Even Anthony Gordon, he was solid last season. He really did well
Yeah, he worked hard
for us. He dropped off a bit this season, but he's 21, and there was a lot of people really going at him for not really for just being a young player that's
we're
trying to develop stuff like that. But he hadn't been treated well by the club in general.
Yeah.
Jose,
struggle to hear you now. I'll tell you what, one very quick answer then. If there's one player that you can get through the door, and I'll tell you what, everyone who's listening is about to come on, that will be my last question to everyone. If there's one player that you're kind of linked with at the moment that you want to get over the line, who is that one player that's going to make a big difference for you?
It's got to be Onuachu, mate. Onuachu coming at you.
Coming at you. Let's go. Come on. You want goals? Onuachu coming at you. Okay, we will find out soon enough. Next up, thank you, Jose. Appreciate it, mate. Joe.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Right, over to Bournemouth. Currently third bottom in the league. There is a great YouTube channel. It's called Back of the Net. And the main man of that, one of two, is Tom Jordan. Tom, are you there?
I am.
Is there juice in the goose? That's the question.
There seems like there might be, mate.
Hello. Right, there's loads going on with Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So run me through it. Run me through, and the big thing, all the players that seem to be coming through, it feels like you're after a lot of. So Semenyo's come through. Who I like. I think that's a good signing for you, regardless of what league you're in next year. Hamid Traore, don't know a crazy amount about Ouattara as well. Lots of dribblers, lots of pace entering the fray. How do we feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing because I think obviously we're not in a great place at the moment, hence why I'm on this so quickly. And yeah, I think the problem's been we've obviously not had a lot of the ball, we're soaking it all up, and then we're trying to counter-attack, but in transitions we've got players like Kiefer Moore, Ryan Christie, who have got great strengths to their game, but when you're trying to do that counter-attack, you need some pace and power and athleticism on the break. And I think we've struggled with Tavernier's injury as well. So I think we're certainly looking at that calibre of player. Semenyo, Ouattara, Traore, they all seem of that mould of kind of counter-attack. And we have obviously Jane Anthony and Tavernier to come back as well. It's exciting. I mean, it's a bit bonkers. We just seem to be chucking a lot of money at it. I mean, it's nearing on 100 million now, which is just...
How do you feel about that?
It's just really alien to me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Because you kind of like, I think there's the fans of the bigger clubs, and I'll ask the question to those fans, but there is no consequence to the outrageous money that is spent by them. It feels like, but if a Bournemouth go down, which is incredibly likely, without trying to, that's not trying to dig you out, like it's so tight down there. If they do go down, they've spent 100 million on players. And the thing is, when you spend 100 million, you still have to get players that you can get to sign for you, because that's something that you've had a bit of a problem with. And again, that's down to the fact that there is so much money in the Premier League right now. If you go down and don't go straight back up, and I know that's becoming more and more likely these days when you do drop into the Championship, but it's not a given, as you know. It could get pretty dangerous pretty quickly, can't it? And is it worth it?
It does feel... Yeah, I mean, it does feel a real risk. And obviously the American ownership seems to just be, just chucking things at it. I mean, as soon as they come in, they said we won't be relegated. And it seemed a little bit at the time, you thought, hang on, I don't think you realise kind of, how difficult this league is and, the kind of players we've got. And then we've just chucked money at it to kind of be like, well, now we'll have too much. But yeah, I agree with you, James. I think it's still, regardless of we're bringing in some good calibre of player, but I still think we'd be one of the favourites to go down for sure, regardless of these players. But yeah, I suppose you look at it that way, maybe the owners and everyone are thinking, well, we'll be down for a season, but we should bounce straight back up. But as you say, mate, it is a risk. But
It's always a risk,
I do
isn't it?
like the caliber of players we brought in for sure.
Again, so I'll ask you this similar question, and it sounds like Onuachu is coming at you, but not to Bournemouth. They've got their big men already. He's going to Southampton. That is one hell of a signing. I am now a Southampton fan. Come on. When we look at this squad, sorry, Tom, to get crash with
You
Southampton.
just said I'm now a Southampton fan when you've got the Bournemouth caller on.
Yeah, that's not what you don't need that. Do you?
Outrageous.
You don't need that right now.
No.
Of the few players that you link with, then. So first of all, of these players that have come through, who do you think will be the most important for you? And if you can get one more through the door, who would you want?
Yeah, weirdly, I think everyone obviously looks at all these exotic names. I think a lot of people hype up Traore, who's done well in Serie A. But I quite like Semenyo at Bristol City. I think that nothing to be sniffed at just because you're getting someone from the Championship. I mean, we've been Tavernier's one of our players we're really missing at the moment, who obviously come from Borough. But Semenyo, I just think, will hopefully have that hunger. He's been at Bristol City for a while, who have kind of flattered to deceive. And I think he'll want to take that opportunity, can play wide, can play through the middle, good bit of pace about him. So I'm quite looking forward to him. And then we're linked with this a Ukrainian centre-half, Zabarny.
Yes.
I think it's pronounced. Who looks like he's at the club now doing medical.
Okay.
And he's very highly thought of. So I'm quite excited by him just to see, just because of all the reports you hear and the fact that he's blimming good on Football Manager. So that's all I know.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Okay, mate.
It's gonna be difficult for us, mate. But at least we've having a crack in January, I suppose.
Yeah, and do you know what? And again, weirdly, I'll finish off with this question. Would you have taken where you are right now at the start of the season?
Yes.
So just, keep the good vibes rolling, as
sure.
old people say. I would never say that, but old people do seem to say that. Tom, a joy. We'll speak again soon.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
mate. Only forwards.
Cheers.
Okay, next up, who we got? It's we're hungry like a wolves. It's Scott. Fucking hell, I'm so white. Scott, talk to me. Oh, where are the Scotty? Are you there?
Hi there. Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you? Because I was running through all the players that have come into all the different clubs, and what I did see is I felt like Wolves are up there, in terms of winning the window. You've got in some steady little players here. You've lost a couple. Yeah. Guedes being the sort of the big name there, and Fabio Silva. I mean, are you really that bothered about that? I don't know. You can answer that. But you must be happy overall, right?
Yeah, definitely happy overall. I think just on those that have gone out, Guedes just felt like one of those players to me. We just didn't really seem to get the best out of him. Maybe not the kind of player that would have suited the Premier League was my take on him. You just get some players, don't you, that might do well in the Spanish League or the French League, but just don't really match up what the Premier League's about. I thought he was perhaps one of those players. And yeah, Fabio Silva, really interesting one with him because, if we do look at one weakness, it would probably be our strike force. And you just wondered whether Fabio Silva was going to be recalled and then actually used for our own benefit. But we haven't gone down that line. But yeah, the additions that we've made, really happy with what we've seen. We've managed to make the most of the transfer market. Maybe one thing that, people listening might not have been aware of is that we have been kind of restricted in what we can do as well, just because we have kind of maxed out our foreign signings, which currently means that if we did sign anyone else today, which doesn't look to be happening, one would have to be English or under 21, I believe, just because otherwise we wouldn't be able to get them in the squad. So, but overall, yes, very happy with what we've done. And I think, just getting in some experience as well, the likes of Dawson are going to make a massive difference as well.
Yeah, out of those sort of centre-back positions, because when you talk about the English contingent, or not English, but the British contingent at least. Oh God, I might have got that wrong as well. The people from United Kingdom and Ireland. It's all about the little centre-back clique, and then that's about it, really, isn't it? I knew there was a big Portuguese contingent there, but there's not. There really isn't many sort of English-speaking, there we go, players in the squad, which is interesting. Dawson, does he come in and start? Because I think in Kilman and Collins, you've got two centre-backs that I think a lot of people would quite like at their team.
I think it's going to be hard for him to push through. You do wonder if also we've been particularly struggling with as a right back as well. I know he can be used there, but probably especially at the age and the way we play, you wouldn't have thought that's what Lopetegui's got in mind. I think it's purely just mainly cover. I mean, we've only really got 3 centre backs at the club before Dawson joined, so I think it's another player to add to that, and hopefully for him he'll be able to try and push Collins and Kilman, because very good centre backs, and they've definitely improved since Lopetegui's come in. But throughout the course of the season, they can't say that they've had a faultless season by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I think he might challenge for a place, but I think he might have to work at it.
I guess. Well, a couple of final 2 questions. First of all, just looking at the table there, and it's what I thought it would be. Is that the reason you're down there is the lack of goals? Do you think Cunha will be the player that sort of comes in and gets those goals for you, or are you expecting goals from, Podence has been scoring a few recently? That's been the big problem. Do you expect? I think most people expect Wolves to just sort of sail away now, especially with the sort of the signings that you brought through. Do you think that will be enough? And then the second question, I was just sort of looking at the squad. You've got a lot of players that kind of came in with decent reputations, but haven't really done it for you. Do you think there's any of these players that you could sell for some good money, be it now or in the summer?
Yeah, I think the first question, it's going to be really interesting because we have had an absolutely fantastic window, but the one thing that has been missing is maybe that striker signing. And I think you have to look at other clubs as well. I mean, obviously you just spoke with the Bournemouth caller, and even Bournemouth, now they've got their new owner spending 100 million across the 2 transfer windows. Southampton have been spending, so those around us have been spending as well. And I think all of us down there have the same issue, to be honest. It's all wherever the goal's going to come from. Cunha, for me, feels more of a number 10 than he does a number 9. But will he be able to do a job for the rest of the season? You hope so. He definitely is showing different things that we've lacked in the forward line, especially kind of those forward runs and running into the right positions. And you just wonder, can we get one last final tune out of someone like Diego Costa or Raul Jimenez? At the moment, the answer looks like to be no. But if we could just get one of them just to bring back some of their former form, it might just tie us over the line. And I think, you look ahead to next season, going on to your second question. And obviously we've made the signing of Gomez, which it took a long time to get over the line, but now we have got him. I think it is brilliant, because come the summer, I think we are going to unfortunately see the likes of Ruben Neves move on. And to be honest, fair play to him. He's been with the club probably 2-3 seasons longer than he probably should have been, and he'll go on to probably some brilliant and fantastic things, and obviously Mateus Nunes as well. So I think that's why we've really reinforced our midfield in this transfer window. It's not just been about the here and now, but also let's make sure we've got a contingency plan for the future. So yeah, it's been a much improved transfer window, and I think main reason for that is we're now just not massively using George Mendes as a super agent.
Okay, good stuff, mate. Yeah, Sarabia as well. What a signing that is to bring him in. He's sort of like is the opposite of Traore, and so you could have Traore on one side, Sarabia might maybe sneak him on the other side. And actually, got Neto, Podence. You got some good players there. It does seem weird that you're down there, mate. Thank you so much, Scott, for chatting to us. Superb stuff. Knows his stuff.
Thanks for having me.
I've learned a lot there, which is lovely. Right, we move on. West Ham. I think Wolves and West Ham would have expected to be a bit higher in the league. Guys, 2,115 people watching right now. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and hit the like button if you're enjoying yourself and you want to be a part of this. Actually, the fun thing to say is that we've got a Discord server. Become an Allcott Ultra if you like good eggs. Join us. So, Patrick, are you there? Patrick, Trapmore, Patrick. You've muted yourself, Patrick. Unmute yourself, Patrick.
I was just charming myself from there.
Patrick Trackmore, but will West Ham stay out of the trapdoor this season? Let's talk West Ham. How are you feeling? Moyes in, Moyes out. That's the first one before we get into any of the changes. Well, actually, so first question, Moyes in, Moyes out. Second question, Ben Johnson being linked with Everton. One, would you be giddy to see him go, or would you be slightly disappointed to see him go? Because that feels like a really odd signing for Everton to go and make. So yeah, off you go. 2 questions to kick off. Go.
One, I'm not sure on Moyes. I think the last 2 games have been a lot better. Against Everton, we basically just parked the bus for the last 50 minutes, which is extremely worrying, to be fair. And then Jono as well. I don't see him going to Everton. I love Jono. I don't want him to go anywhere. I don't think he's top quality yet, but I think he's getting there. He's not a forward-thinking fullback like we're playing a 5 at the back system at the minute, and him at a right wing back just doesn't really work.
Yeah,
because he hasn't got that sort of killer instinct going forward.
Who have you been linked with over the last couple of days then? Because obviously Ings came in, Kera obviously it was in the summer at the start. Yeah, that's not worked really at all. Lizao has come in, I think, in January as well. Am I right in saying that? But have you been linked with anyone? Normally there's a lot of names of West Ham at this time, but I guess you've spent so much over the last year. It's maybe calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't really looked at anyone really. Like, there's been the odd rumour of Terem Moffi was a name that was talked about all of the window, and then now he's gone to Nice for a loan. And then we've had constant on and offs about Conor Gallagher and Calvin Phillips, and now they're staying at their clubs. Michael Keane was even talked about. That's how bad it got for a minute. I was generally shitting bricks there, hoping we weren't going to get him. And then we had
I bet you would have said the same when Craig Dawson had signed way back when.
I don't know, because Dawson's sort of proven. I just don't think Keane's proven it at all, really. I just thought Dawson was more of a backwards sign-in, whereas Michael Keane is even more of a step backwards than Craig Dawson was, if you get what I mean.
Sorry, go on, mate. Go for it.
And the only other player we've been linked to today is, I don't think it will happen, but Schroeder Becker of Union Berlin. Are you familiar with him?
Yes, yeah. No, a few teams have been linked with him. But yeah, I think I'm right in saying he's a target man. Am I right?
I don't really know. He's a bit more of an Antonio type, where he just sort of causes carnage around all areas. Really, he moves out to the wing. He'll just go anywhere and cause carnage. But the main thing that I've been worried about this whole window is that we've not brought another midfielder in. I think that although Souček had a really good game last night, it is Derby after all. We needed another midfielder. Downs is good, he's getting there, and I think he will be a future Rice replacement. But we needed someone in there for the rest of the season, even on loan. Like, I would have taken Gallagher or Phillips on loan for the rest of the season.
This is the problem that I think you've got, and there's a few teams here that we might kind of get onto where it's one of those where, like, have you spent yet? Are you about to spend? Are you spending a sort of sensible amount, or are you spending loads and you've kind of spent it all now? West Ham are in a position now where you kind of went for it, right? And now you can't just get another one. Well, it seems like some clubs can, but you can't just do that. West Ham certainly can't do that. You have to kind of be certain about the players that you've got. And it's generally such an awkward time, because it's like, do you show patience? Or, I mean, you essentially have, there's this anger and frustration because it's not going your way and you're not happy with the state of play right now. But at the same time, you've not allowed, like Paquetá, he's not been there long enough to really see what you want to do with him. Maybe there's a manager situation and that needs to change instead. Also, was it a team that was running hot? Maybe I'm being a little bit too kind to them, but it's funny how Souček was a great player and Soufal was a great player, and now they're both useless. Like, are they forever useless? And the players that haven't totally hit yet, are they forever useless as well? Like, what's the truth when it comes to this squad? Because you're never really as bad or as good as you think you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good to know that someone shares the same opinion as me with Souček and Soufal. They've just been dreadful this season. But
But they've not been dreadful, full stop, have they? If they walk away, you go, they had a really good West Ham career. Both of those.
Yeah, but it has fallen off a cliff, literally. I've been, unlike a lot of West Ham fans, I've seen this sort of thing coming for a while. I thought that, I think our form in the Cups and the Europa League last year sort of shielded the fact that we were dreadful for the end of last season's league form.
You had a bad 2022, didn't you?
Yeah, overall, it was relegation form. We would have been in about a spot we were in now if the year started at 2022 and finished at the end. We probably would have just scraped survival. But that is with the World Cup in the middle after all. And we have been sort of better since we've come back from the World Cup. It's still not been great. Like, we had a couple of losses when we came back, but it's getting there. I am going to sit patiently. Like, if you look at the table, we haven't conceded as many goals as some of the other teams. It's like Brighton have conceded more goals than us. They just score more. That's the whole issue, is getting goals going. And I think Ings is a very sensible signing. It's not the most ambitious signing, but he will finish pretty much everything you put in front of him.
I think the thing is so I'll just look at the stats here. The one that kind of does step out to me is that what West Ham were and how they did well was having quite low possession a lot of the time. But I think for you to move forward as the expectations move forward, that has to change. And that's where I think you can... there's always... I know I say this a lot, but there's always another season. So it's one where if you finish 16th or if you finish 10th in the Premier League, I don't think it's a massive, massive difference. It's disappointing, but it's not a massive, massive difference. If that goes on for 2-3 years, then at least 2 years, then fair enough. But I think Moyes had enough credit in the bank to be given this entire season. But I think if you ever look at where the possession stats are, the ability to dominate the game, which when you've got Rice and Paquetá in the team, you should be able to do that. Bowen, JaackMaate needs to be used better. But if it gets to it, the end of the season, and if you recover and you finish, 12th, 11th, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think that's a slightly disappointing season.
As much as I'd love that to happen, I unfortunately don't see us getting to those points. I think we'll finish probably just above where we are now, like 14th, 15th sort of time. But I do see it as sort of a transitional phase. Yeah. Whereas we brought in like so many good ball players during the summer. Kera was supposed to be a good ball player. He's a good ball player, but he can't defend to save his bloody life.
No, he's useless.
Aged is Rolls Royce. I don't know how we've managed to get him.
But that's an inch. That's a player you haven't had though. That's not a player you haven't had available to you.
It is a player we haven't had, and it's changed a lot since he's come in and been fully fit. And then we've brought in Paquetá, who's a good progressor, good ball player.
Okay, answer me this, mate. Final question. Yeah. One area that you'd like to strengthen between now and the end of the window. Go. Only one.
It won't happen, but we need another striker or a midfielder. It won't happen, but I would love a Geraldo Becker or a Gallagher. It won't happen, but I would love it to happen.
Pat, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. Oh, God, callers are always so good, man. It's so class. Cheers, Pat. Appreciate it, mate. Next up,
cheers,
Joe Taylor. Thank you, mate. Joe Taylor, Leeds United, 15th in the league right now. Spent a little bit of moolah, have Leeds United. And again, this is the thing, but that's what I mean, between even Newcastle and those other teams there. Hello, mate. How you doing? Even there's so much money being spent. It's so competitive. You've got absolutely no right to finish anywhere. And even the teams that are spending a lot of money that are sort of mid-table teams, Leeds United, Nottingham Forest, that it doesn't give you anything at all. Right, let's talk about this. Are you there, Joe?
Yes. Hi, James.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. I think I'm a lot more optimistic than the West Ham caller was.
Yes. Yeah, he's not happy. Well, that's the problem with expectation. It's a killer. But it's understandable, I think, as well. So you've been busy. Llorente, this might not be totally up to date, but Llorente's going to Roma. So you're losing a centre-back, but you're bringing in Diego Montero, who's pretty young from Servette. I thought it was Serviette, but it's not. Weston McKennie, Rutter on this channel, we said go get Rutter. So you've gone and got Rutter, that's smart. Max Vober from Red Bull, I think, is a good signing. Weston McKennie, I don't understand. Do you understand it? And if so, can you explain it to me?
I think I understand it if the vision is truly to create Leeds United States of America, which seems to be the dream. In terms of having a partnership with Tyler Adams.
Is this the way you create you haven't got the money or the owners to create a nation state football club. So this is how you're going about it. Is this what's happening?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think I understand it from having a partnership with Tyler Adams, obviously for the national team, and there's clearly a relationship there. I think the level that I don't understand it is spending around 15 million on a Mark Rocker, only to then seemingly decide 6 months later that he's not up to it, possibly.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a strange one. It kind of feels like it just sort of, obviously with Juventus's points deduction, it kind of just feels like it became a possibility, and it maybe wasn't a pre-planned, let's go and get him. So it is a strange one.
Yeah, I'm sort of, just clicking on some of the players here that have also been bought in the summer. There's a lot of change at Leeds over last year. With Voba, the one thing, because in terms of an out-and-out left-back, so Voba can play left-back, he can play midfield, he can play centre-back as well. He obviously knows Jesse Marsh. They play. He was at Salzburg with him, 125 games, I think, off the top of my head. So at least he knows, and he can come into the system, or at least the ideology of what Jesse Marsh wants to provide. The club have certainly backed Jesse Marsh, like massively. But yeah, the McKennie one, I just, like you say, you've got Rocker, you've got Adams. I guess it provides depth. I guess it does provide depth. Forshaw's not terrible, especially as a squad player. Aronson as well. I guess you can play in different positions. But I'm not totally convinced about that. And I guess, so do you think that it's going to move to a 4-3-3 as opposed to the different ways that you've been playing?
I'd probably imagine that it'd stay as a 4-2-3-1, purely just because I don't think Jesse Marsh has changed systems at all since he's come in. But just to touch on that first point, this window the summer and this window both kind of feel like an investment in Jesse Marsh as much as the squad, because the Leeds fan base is definitely split about Jesse Marsh in terms of, is he the right man for the long term, and also he kind of used up a lot of that goodwill he had last season, because we did lose a lot of games and we were kind of saved by that sort of old principle of there being 3 worst teams. So it's definitely an investment in Jesse Marsh as much as the squad. But I think I can't see him changing to a 4-3-3. I think he'll just stick to a 4-2-3-1 and use the depth we have.
Okay. Gelhardt, some people are saying in the chat, yeah, I know that. So those of you don't, he's gone to Sunderland on loan. Great signing for Sunderland. Had to give Sims back and have gone and got Gelhardt. That's pretty good. The final question, I guess, has to be, well, it's 2. Is how confident are you in staying up? And how, if 100% is 100% confident in Jesse Marsh, how confident are you and how confident are the fan base, do you think, as a whole?
I think to answer the first question, I think.
Sorry, I do that. I ask like 3 questions in one go.
I think the only reason why I'm sort of bordering on unconfident is the fact that in sort of previous years, by this point you've usually had those 1 or 2 teams that you'd say are probably goners. Like before the season started, obviously Bournemouth and maybe Southampton, people were sort of saying could be goners, but Bournemouth especially have just gone out and spent 100 million on close to that, and Southampton have bought quite smartly. So that'll probably be the only reason I'm not confident. I'm looking at teams around us and I'm not really seeing a definite goner or a definite sort of will be in the mix.
Yeah.
And I think as a percentage in Jesse Marsh, I'm a stickler for giving managers time. So I'll have to stick my neck on the line and say I'm 100% confident that Leeds United States of America will climb out of this and March on to 10th.
Be careful with pushing those kind of things, because once that gets into the lexicon of the pundits, then that's all you're going to hear, and you're going to absolutely hate it. Mate, thank you so much for chatting to me, Joe. Really, really appreciate it. Good stuff. You are the silent majority, once again, giving managers more time than the loud minority often twist up. Let me know in the chat, by the way, what percentage of you guys, how you feel about Jesse Marsch, if you sort of believe in him or not. Thanks, Joe. Next up, Leicester City. Matt Robson, who is a referee in his spare time, if I remember rightly. Is that correct, Matt?
What was that? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
So you're a referee in your spare time?
Yes, I do. Very passionate about it.
Yeah. Happy with VAR this year and some of the changes in the refereeing? How are we feeling on that?
I feel as though I think they're trying to do the right thing. I feel as though Howard Webb will really help in terms of kicking it, like getting it kick-started. But it's moving along slowly.
Okay. Let's talk about Leicester City. That's your team then? Is it Leicester City? I didn't know that. I presumed you're a Liverpool fan. Why did I think that?
No, don't offend me.
News and now. Let's have a look at your squad then. Because, I mean, God, sometimes I say certain clubs are like steam. And Leicester City, you're like steam. You're sort of like, you're not really taking part this year, are you?
No, it just feels like we're sort of trotting along. I feel as though we almost we had our peak. Well, obviously, you say we had our peak in 2016, which we obviously did, but in terms of a more sustainable, realistic peak, it was sort of that. Well, maybe not sustainable, but a less exaggerated peak was the sort of 2019, 2020 sort of era, as it were. But things have kind of been going downhill gradually ever since. But I feel as though because quite a lot of people like Leicester, and no one really is that keen to go in on them. But we have, if you're in and around the football club, it has started to wither away.
Sure.
Not to the point where it's like
you're standing
really,
still, aren't you?
really worrying. What was that? Sorry.
You're standing still. I think
just standing still. That's what it is. Yeah.
So in terms of your Tillemans, you would have seen him more than anyone. He will leave. Where should he go if you were him? If you were in his body right now? Imagine you're in his body right now.
Well, I feel as though it depends what he wants. If he wants to be because there's rumours of all sorts, from everyone from Real Madrid to Barcelona, and because he is that good, or he has been that good, like any team would want him. I feel as though a team like where he could be more influential, team in a role where he was more used and not because I can imagine him going to Barcelona and becoming just a bit part player. But I feel as though somewhere like Arsenal, somewhere like Manchester United, that could be good for him.
And are you disappointed that you've not sold him? Because obviously there would have been money to have been made there.
Yeah, but I'm not annoyed that we've not done it this window or the window before. It's more a case of we should have done it years ago. I feel as though that was poor from us. It's poor from us now, but it should have been done a season or two ago. That's when we were the fan base was most frustrated by it. Right. But at this point, it's more just sort of come to terms with it.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of players coming in, Harry Souttar, I asked my best mate, who's best man at my wedding. I said, what do we think about Harry Souttar? I saw him at the World Cup playing up front against Argentina in the last few minutes, so he can offer you that. He says, I'm literally the first time I'm reading it, he has quality and is a great defender. I do think he deserves a chance at the Prem and will lack... and I don't know what he said there. However, he is still only a couple of months back from an ACL. His World Cup performances inflated his value, 15 to 20 million with add-ons. So most Stoke fans are accepting it's a good deal.
Yeah, I feel as though it's one that probably works out for all parties, because it's one where, because it's January, you will end up paying slightly more probably because teams are more desperate. And I feel as though that's what it is for us, because Voutface has been good, but I feel as though Daniel Amati, he's we signed him as a CDM, and then he's just that bit part player. He's not our long-term centre back, and I feel as though first we are desperate to have a solid back line, and I feel as though with Harry Souttar, he kind of reminds me of the Maguire deal, a big centre back. He looks like he'd be reliable. He's a proper centre back, unlike Daniel Amati. And so yeah, overall, I'm quite happy with it, to be fair. And,
Do you think
yeah,
you'll
the
be
price
absolutely
maybe-
fine in terms of staying up? Because I've got one final big question for you.
Okay, all right.
Can you? So yeah, first of all, answer that one just quickly. Do you think you'll be fine? Because my only concern with Leicester is that you get sucked into something.
Yeah,
which you don't
so
wanna be
I feel
involved
as though, again, because people kind of like Leicester from the outside, it's like, oh, it's the too good to go down label we've been given.
Yeah.
But within the club, if you see some of the performances and the uncertainty and the ability to implode, then we're nowhere near safe. And yeah, hopefully these few signings that we've managed to get in will just make us get to that sort of, 12th, 11th sort of area rather than this like starting to get to 17th, 18th where it starts to get worrying. But yeah, I'd say that we will be fine, but it's not going to be as easy as some people are making out.
Okay, and here's my big question. Here we go. Can you see the squad? The Leicester City squad. It'll hopefully be up in front of you in a sec. It'll come up on the stream
all right,
any moment, hopefully. So go through the squad quickly, and which players, I'll just highlight them. Which players are on, forget the present, forget the past, which players will be the future, or you want to be the future of Leicester City? Because I think this is the biggest problem when it comes to Leicester City. Go for it. Go from goalkeeper down. Like, which players do you want me to highlight as players that will be the future of Leicester City?
Okay. I feel as though James Justin will be. I feel as though anytime he's fit, he's like a very, very good player on either side, whether that be the right or the left. I feel as though Pereira, when we signed him, he was incredible, but the injury proneness is a problem. Same with Castagna, but I feel as though if Justin can overcome it, he'll be like incredible in that respect.
Okay. Just give me the names. Just fly through the names for me.
All right. Okay, cool. We'll say Justin, Dewsbury Hall and Daka.
That's it?
Maybe Barnes. That's it. Yeah. It's not looking good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gone downhill.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 players. 5 players.
Yeah,
See,
everyone else is...
wants to go, is going to go, isn't good enough. I guess you don't know about Tete or Harry Souttar at this moment.
Yeah, well, Sionchu's going. Evans is too old. Ndidi's dropped off.
I think bang on. Yeah, and it's light. It's a light squad as well. Wow.
Yeah, there's no one really shining out apart from the few that I've said, to be perfectly honest.
That's bang on. That's interesting. It's scarier than you think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matt, thank you so much, mate. Great call. So good.
Lovely. Thank you.
Love it, mate. Right.
Cheers.
Rivals. Nottingham Forest. A few points ahead in the league right now. And Ole Khan joins us, hopefully, to run through a football club that's had the wildest couple of transfer windows. Ollie, are you there? Ollie, are you there? Are you there? Ollie, are you there? Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Ollie, are you there? Okay, Forest fan has not turned up. We move. What a shame. Oh, who's popped in? If someone has, don't worry, it's fine. Okay, next up. Oh, sorry, Ollie is actually the Palace fan. He's not the Forest fan. Right, well, it's Palace now. So in you come, Ollie. So you got a song before it was even your go. Turn your radio off, mate.
Can you hear me? Am I all good?
I can hear you, mate. Sorry. I thought you were a Forest fan for a second. Now I was getting...
I did enjoy the song, though. So
there you go.
I might say that's my ringtone.
Everybody wins. Right, Palace. I mean, we'll keep this brief.
Yeah,
What's
not
going
much to
on?
talk about, mate.
What's going on? What? Nothing? Literally nothing. Oh, come on.
Well, Steve Parish has been camping outside Gallagher's house like a crazy ex for the whole of January. And then yesterday we agreed a deal for a Hamada from Stuttgart. Lakonga's coming in on loan. And allegedly we're still after a right back and a forward player to replace Zaha when he leaves in the summer. And I've just seen come up on my screen that we're considering a bid for QPR midfielder Sam Field. But other than that, not a lot.
Sam Field, I don't think you need him. That seems a bit... I mean, he's good. But is he good enough? I don't think that's not a place where you need to sort yourself out just yet, is it? So I mean, more just to check in. How are you all right then, Ollie? Are you like, how do you feel about it? It's one of those where you're being quite sensible here, but it's also a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how long can we be sensible for? Because it's pretty much the same every window.
Say that sentence again. Say that sentence again.
how long can we
Can
be
we be
sensible
sensible
for?
That's so unfair, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? You can't win. You cannot win as a
But
football club. Don't be too sensible.
It's not so much that I get it, like it's the sustainable model, and obviously Parish has done a great job from when he brought us in from administration and all that. But when you look around the league and you see teams that have just come up, it's like Bournemouth spending 100 million, Leeds doing it, and all that. How long can we survive in the league without the investment of all the other clubs? Especially when a player that's dug us out of a hole so many times in Wolf Sahara is likely to leave.
I think that's the big
in
fear,
the
isn't
summer.
it? That's playing on the mind of a lot of Palace fans. Is that is a huge loss that occurs next year. And so, but is it maybe better? I know it sounds a little bit boring and maybe too sensible, but is it best to kind of keep your powder dry to then really go for it in the summer when you've got the whole summer and work towards the summer, knowing that Zaha is definitely going to go?
I think at the start of the window is all about Wan-Bissaka and Gallagher and Zaha, which, I mean, there's got to come a point where we let go of these past players that have done good for us but have moved on. Obviously, if Zaha does go, obviously wish him all the best and all that, but you're probably right, wait till the summer. But
Roy Hodgson was saying this
from
morning.
what I've seen in the previous window.
Roy Hodgson was saying this morning that the thing that Zaha's got to think about is what works well for his psyche, which I thought was quite interesting. Because he said, yes, of course, he could go and chase that. I think he did say chase that dream of playing for, that big team. But also, he's in a place where he's loved, he's nourished, he knows he's going to play, he knows he's going to start, all those things. Do you think there's any chance he stays?
It depends. I think he's more likely to go abroad at this stage because I'm sure you can ask when you get up the league, but I don't think he gets into any of the top six other than Newcastle. But I don't think he'd leave London with where his kids go to school and where he's got the houses, like his house and where he's lived all his life.
Yeah.
For Newcastle, and that's no disrespect to Newcastle, but I think if he's going to chase the dream, it'll be for one of the big dogs, like the established big dogs, because he's not young enough where he can wait for Newcastle to get there.
Yeah, he's 30, isn't he? I like the new, in terms of the club, I think Newcastle's a really good shout for him. But of course, they've signed Gordon now, so I'm not sure that would totally work. It's amazing how St. Maximin's kind of fallen out of favour a little bit, because that was one he could go in and you've got a incredibly convincing player in terms of output on the left-hand side as well if you wanted to replace St. Maximin. But I know they obviously still like him. We'll ask Newcastle fans in a sec. All right, mate. Well, thank you.
No worries.
Just a brief one, really, because not too much to chat about, sadly. But hopefully in the summer, hey? We'll have a chat then.
Yeah, I'll jump in this summer and hopefully have more to talk about.
Good
but
man.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we can dream. Don't stop pinching our players. Okay. Steve.
I'll try. See you later.
See you, dude. Steve is a Aston Villa fan. Let's talk Villa. Woo. So still got a good few teams to get through. Villa have had an interesting one. Let me know any breaking news as it comes through and any rumours that you've seen about the clubs that we're talking about as we do talk about them. Steve, are you there? If not, can you believe it? Chelsea is next after that. Brentford, Fulham, Brighton. You've still got a way to go before we hear them. What a time to be alive. So, right. I'm not hearing from the Aston Villa fan, or he's muted himself. One or the other. So we'll move on. Chelsea. Oh, Steve, are you there?
Oh, no, this is for Forest.
Are you back in now, are you? Oh, okay, mate. All right, let's. Mr. Dorr, what's your actual name? What's your first name?
James and Stephen, how's it going?
Steve's back, right? Steve. Okay. Let's talk about your Villa's a funny one, isn't it? Are you good? Are you good? Are you average?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Yeah. Are you So you lost Danny Ings. Duran's in. How do you feel about your window? Are you linked with anyone in these last few hours?
I don't know. Jonathan David, that one's probably not happening. I don't think that's coming through. I think the Guendouzi link got dropped earlier this morning as well. And then something about not Ousmane Dembele, but Dembele from
Lyon,
France.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leon. Yeah, and I just don't think anyone else is coming through with the rest of the window. I think we're pretty much done with Alex Marino and Duran, and that's going to cover for the rest of the year. We did get Bernard Traore back on loan. Saw that come through.
Okay. So, yeah, it's a funny time for Villa, isn't it? Because like, you know, who are you? What do you want to be? Okay, I would say that this is a smart move for Villa to not go too crazy, because you're a bit nervous with Gerrard. It obviously wasn't working at all. You had spent a decent amount of money. You know, like Coutinho's been a bit of a, well, would I go as far as a disaster? Actually, could I call out someone? Catherine, you said he was going to be amazing. He's not been amazing. He's not really worked, has he? I'd like an apology, Catherine, whenever you're ready in the chat, please. Steve, okay, so is it one where if you keep calm for now, let's do the same thing, because I quite enjoyed it when we were talking about Leicester City. Which players are the future of Aston Villa? Let's do the same with you. If you can see the squad in front of me, just run through the names and then we can go through one or two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Jacob Ramsey, Boubacar Kamara. I hope that we can keep Emi Buendia and Emi Martinez. I think Dibu's. It's going to be hard to keep him away from some bigger clubs, but he has been loyal in the past. I know a couple teams came after him previously, but you know, we'll see. When you win the World Cup, everything kind of goes out the window.
What about these two fullbacks?
Yeah,
Are they still the future?
I love Matty Cash. I think Matty Cash is my favorite Villa player right now. How he fits into Emery's system, I don't really know. It seems like maybe he wants someone a little more defensive. And Luca Digne, I mean, I thought when we signed him, he was going to be like probably the best signing we've had in a lot of years, and he's just been injured and hasn't looked totally on it. So I don't know. I think bringing in Alex Marino is going to be good, just to have some pressure on him for that starting spot, and you know, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so I've got are they still the future then? Because I think Carlos will be one. He's not really played, has he? But I think, you know, in time. Watkins and McGinn. Where are you? And Louise as well. You know, Arsenal wanted him. Are those three? Is there not something that can be got out there? And Bailey. What about Bailey?
Yeah, I know Leon Bailey's looking good now. You know, when we were playing under Steven Gerrard, it was kind of questionable. That first game when he came on and scored 2 goals and then got injured and was gone for months and months. We do have an injury problem, and we also have we're tied with Palace, I think, for the smallest squad in the league. I think we have 22 active first team players at the moment.
Do you know, as we're looking through them all, you got so we've got one of your players, Eric Boonham. I don't think he's ready for Premier League next year, but he will be sooner or later. I think it's 24 months, I think, and he'll be ready for you guys. But I tell you what, look, we've got so many teams to get through. I'm gonna stop it here just because it does feel like you're kind of in limbo here, Villa. But that is interesting, because I think if you look at Leicester and how many players you want to move forward with them, it sounds like you're in a better space, and you've got Emery as well. If there was one quick deadline day signing, what area would you like to strengthen?
I think we need a real striker. We need like an out and out target man. I think if we're going to run a 4-4-2, which it seems like we want to do under Emery, I think someone to play alongside Ollie Watkins, who can kind of just hold play up, would be really nice.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think we're pretty much done for the window.
Everyone's after a striker.
Wait till the summer.
Everyone's after a striker.
Yeah.
Steve, thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it. Chat to you again soon, I'm sure. Good man. Right, Chelsea. Okay, here we go. Seriously, one. Make your way into the chat. I am fascinated to talk to you. Right, question for the chat. How do we feel about the spending of Chelsea the last 2 windows, but this one in particular? I think there's been a massive talking point for a long time. Understandably so, with the amount of money that they're spending. Seriously, are you there, mate?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hello, mate. Yes, I can hear you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Right. Let's have a look at this squad because it's been all Chelsea in January. It's been all Chelsea in January. I'm going to allow you to open the floor with this one. Obviously, you spent a lot of money. The accounting is clever, to say the least, or possibly incredibly risky. Where do you stand on the situation with the squad right now? And that's even before you can kind of talk about Enzo Fernandez a little bit, but broadly speaking, how are you feeling about the transfer strategy at Chelsea?
I think, firstly, I'm very content with what we've done in this January transfer window. I feel that there's been two very contrasting transfer windows under Todd Bowley. The first one where he was the interim sporting director. He signed Koulibaly, Sterling, Aubameyang for, I think it was a combined around 100 million odd of the potential 500 million, give or take. And then the other 400 million has been spent on players under 24, so definitely investing in the youth. And that's been just the total of both the January and the summer transfer window, which of course is a lot to any team. And I leave it to anyone. Obviously, clever accounting is I'll use your words. I think the summer transfer window, when he was definitely just getting into the role, he seemed like he was just piling up the cracks with just getting seniority, getting some leadership with the Koulibaly, Sterling, Aubameyang, who have some senior experience in definitely elite roles. But now I think they're taking just a vast new direction with going for high potential youth. I've heard a lot from punditry this week about it being like Football Manager or FIFA, which, okay, that's fair. I'll give it to them on that one. But I don't like the whole idea that scattergun. I feel that they're giving a lot of depth to and a lot of youth in depth into roles that have been drastically needed for years.
Okay. So, because I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think it's obviously the amount of money that's being spent that's the concern that I think a lot of I mean, just so happens that are you American or Canadian or where are you from?
Canada.
Okay, and some people are saying, is that Todd Bowley? You're not Todd Bowley, just to be clear.
Oh yeah, I'm not American.
I think he's doing a good job. Yeah, because I've spoken to when I was staying at the start of this stream, Chris Ryan, I was chatting to Chris about the sort of the strategy and through that American lens, I found it really, really interesting, or North American lens, I found it really interesting the difference in it, because in terms of that squad building, I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. Like forget money for a second. You've got Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva not getting any younger. I mean, you've brought Koulibaly in, who's over 30, which is probably, in hindsight, stupid. Kante, older. Kovacic, actually not that older, but Jorginho, of course, was in here. We've taken him out. And then higher up the pitch, just a sort of, you've got a bit of a concoction where you kind of needed to sort of sort out the spine a little bit and bring in those younger players in terms of the concern about, say, the midfield. I think what's really interesting is the volume elsewhere, and where I'm struggling with it is the understanding that when you spend all this money, you're trying to keep in mind that the strategy here is that if you have this many players, you're fine because you can always sell them on. You can always sell them on for a loan, and you can make the money back over that period of time. So, for example, Conor Gallagher, you keep a hold of him, you see how he gets on. If you get some games out of him, you're getting money out of him from that point of view. If you send him on loan and he costs, I think it feels like to me there's going to be a real reliance on wanting to get money from loan signings and allowing players to go, or allowing players to go for 2-season loans, and again you get some money from that, or you sell them outright, right? My problem with this is the fact that this isn't the club or the strategy. Sorry, this isn't the strategy for a club of this size, because they're in a league where, first of all, they won't really want to sell to a rival. Secondly,
Exactly.
anyone that they sell to on loan after that isn't a rival won't have the same money as them, but especially if they're Premier League, clubs. And so if it's a Serie A club or La Liga club or any other league, because of the amount of money that the Premier League's got, the outrageous amount that you're paying early doors could work out for you. Like Mudryk could be amazing. There's a lot of players here that could be amazing. Chukwuemeka looks like a real player. But so did Loftus-Cheek. So did Ross Barkley. So did so did Danny Drinkwater. So many different players have. So did Bakayoko. I mean, and maybe that's one where I fall down again. So someone like Bakayoko, 40 million. I wonder how much money they've made or wasted on Bakayoko. And so when you invest so heavily in so many young players, as exciting as they may be, what I notice when I'm reporting or talking about players is with an optimistic view, it's very easy to suggest that any player is going to be brilliant and going to add something to a squad and take them to the next level. The reality is always so different because a million different things happen. So the thing I'm struggling with is will there ever be any repercussions for this kind of spending? And if there are, if you spend the money that you're about to spend on Enzo Fernandez, someone who I think was sold for about, I might be right or I might be wrong in this, let me know in the chat, 10 million, right? Was it 10 million 6 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
And you're spending over 100 million on him. I think somewhere along the line, it's the ballsiness that allows a club and a businessman to be the businessman that he is, or it's the arrogance that you can understand that in a sport that's not like baseball, it's not a closed skill, really. It's something that has so many variables and so many moving parts. This feels so dangerous to me. And I've tried to go, oh, hang on, these guys can't be stupid. And I don't think it's thoughtless, but it is. The Enzo Fernandez one is so dumb to me. It seems so stupid to me. Do you agree?
It's one of those things where obviously it's definitely too much, and I can understand from just the amount of the contract lengths of all these different acquisitions that were made in January. It does mean that it's just being amortized, but the 120 million obviously is probably, let's even say it's even 8 years. That's still only like 12.5 a year, or no, it's a little bit more than that. Sorry, I think 15. I think a good example of this is actually Kepa, because he was bought in 2017 for a 7-year contract, and he's had a lot of ups and downs with Chelsea.
Yep.
Right now, I'd probably make the argument that he's been Chelsea's second best player behind Thiago Silva this year. But there was last year, there were a lot of calls for him to be sold to Napoli. Or when he was with Lampard, everyone thinks he couldn't save one shot.
Sure.
But
and the opposite with Mendy right now, right? Everyone's saying that Mendy's useless now. And about a year ago, he was the best goalkeeper in the world.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think there is a high risk, high reward kind of value with all these different acquisitions, and it's obviously, I can't say one thing I'm going to say definitely is I don't think for now Chelsea will improve. I think it's one of those things where they want to play all these players for the next 6 months, year and a half, and get them developing, get some cohesion together, because under Graham Potter's system, and time will tell, of course. I feel it's I don't know.
Does this feel absurd to you, though? To bring it back to the money, because Enzo Fernandez, right? This is what I really struggle with, and I know this isn't interesting, but say you're 10th, right? You're 10th in the league. Now you might get into the Champions League, but you could quite easily not get in the Champions League. Do you really think Enzo Fernandez is going to be the difference between you getting in the Champions League or not? And if he's not, which I think, and let me know in the chat, do you think he is or he isn't? If he's not, aren't you? And you could get Enzo Fernandez. There's no way he's worth that much. There's no way. There's just no way. Sorry. So if you're gonna buy him, and if it's this really thought out strategy that we want him, let the World Cup stuff calm down. get to the summer and buy him for 50 million.
Mhm.
It just feels so risky, and the necessity is volume, and that's fine when you've got so much money. But I feel like even if it's 7 times out of 10 a good way or a bad way, I actually think it's going to be 7 times out of 10 you won't make your money back on these players, in my opinion.
I don't think Enzo is the best investment. He is. I think a lot of things like the Jorginho sale this morning, it's definitely half and half. It's very split opinions in the Chelsea fan base, and I think the purchase of someone for 120 million, obviously very ludicrous, and just based off 6 months of being in European competition, I feel that's definitely too much of a sample size to define how long of a career projection will happen with Enzo Fernandez. And I think Chelsea only needs specifically center midfields, like a 6 or just a CDM that would help pivot the transition from defense to midfield and attack. Because a lot of those
like
that
Jorginho.
are this is the thing about the Enzo Fernandez one, because it seems like Jorginho was sold prematurely in the hopes that Enzo Fernandez would come in that 6 role to replace Jorginho, but it's looking like it's up in the air still. Which, even though like they're saying,
I'm lost a little bit. I'm intrigued to see how this plays out, but it seems like there's a lot of players that you're going to have to let go, and I just don't think you're going to make your money back. And I don't know what it's for. And what annoys me is that they get away with behaving like this. Like, it's too much. Like, it's dumb. It's dumb to spend that kind of cash. And I just think it's like it just makes a bit of a mockery of it all. That's what I'm struggling with, because when you're talking about midfielders, okay. I think there's a lack of understanding of the difference between different midfielders at the top level, and it isn't often a huge difference. A lot of players can do a lot of things, and it's just I just find it wild. I find it absolutely wild. Mate, we're gonna have to keep going. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. Massive respect to you, mate. And hopefully we get to speak again soon. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good man.
Absolute pleasure.
Hero. Right, let's keep moving. Liverpool. Noah Stokes Waters. Jump into the waters. It's nice and warm. Let's go. Are you there?
Hello, James. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, my friend. How are you? Let's have a look at your squad. Here it is. Very different set of events. This kind of bleeds into the Chelsea point that I'm kind of making, is that because you've spent money, but you've done it kind of steadily. I know there's a lot of frustration a lot of the time with the midfield, and there are obviously problems there. And you have spent money. Let's be honest, but it's thought through over time. All this money that Chelsea have spent, I would argue that just Jude Bellingham in the summer leads to a lot of football fans suggesting that Liverpool finish above Chelsea next season. But in the here and now, when you're 9th in the league, that can be tricky, to sort of to show that patience. How are you feeling about this Liverpool squad? A lot of people talking about the end of an era, and how do you feel about sort of the panic or not to panic kind of approach when it comes to transfers in January?
Wow. Well, I think we need to panic now, Liverpool. The midfield, it's looking absolutely
Why do you need to
diabolical,
panic?
James.
But why do you need to
Because
James
Milner. We're seeing James Milner get minutes again. Henderson is falling off. Fabinho is not the player he once was. We've got an 18-year-old Basetic at CDM instead of Fabinho. That's how bad he's been this season. I think we could just do with just a single midfielder. Nothing major. I don't mean don't bid like Chelsea are for Fernandes or anything, but just get a body in, maybe a 30 million, 20 million pound player like Sander Berg or something like that. That'd be quite nice.
But is Sander, like, this is what I mean. It's like, is Sander Berg, if you is that the answer? A guy who's done he's way too good for the Championship. I've seen him like live. He's actually more of an 8 than a 6. Just to say, because the other problem is the centre back position, right? Because I think Konate's going to be out for the Real Madrid game, right? Phillips is going to have to come in for that, which I'm sure will be, should be up to it. But don't you think it's sometimes you've got to be brave enough to just to sort of wait and see, like how maybe I think this is probably the QPR fan in me, knowing that like look, there's always next season, but how desperate is it if you don't make it into a Champions League place this year?
I mean, if we don't make it to Champions League, what's the likelihood of Jude Bellingham coming in the summer? I know he's tipped to join Liverpool next summer, but I just don't see it happening if we don't have the money to bring him in coming from the Champions League, and of course the allure of Champions League football. So I think we've got to prioritise winning now to get up to the top 4. Although, saying that, the players are there to do that. You got Naby Keita, who we still haven't seen the best of. Players like, Basetic coming through. Harvey Elliott's doing a decent job at midfield. So there's still a chance at the top 4. But yeah, I think probably a midfielder now, and then invest in the summer in someone like Jude Bellingham, if it's possible. But that's always the issue with Liverpool. You never know if it's possible. Yeah.
Esther Bede with a super chat. Liverpool need to put their hand in the pockets and get a quality midfielder in ASAP. Give me a name, Esther. Give me a name. We said in the video yesterday, Kefren Turam would be a really good option for you guys. I guess again, he is a young player, and sometimes you've got to let those young players kind of become good, and they're going to be a bit hot and cold at times. I think that's going to be the same for Gakpo. It's going to be the same for Nunez. It's going to take that time. You've also had Jota out for a lot of the season, Diaz out for a lot of the season. I'll ask you the question I've asked a couple of people. People saying Amrabat on loan, and what I'm wary of is one player as a sort of bit of a stopgap. That is not the place that teams at the top of the league should be kind of moving towards. Really, you shouldn't need to be doing that. And I don't think it will make that much of a change. If I'm honest, I think your Bellingham is the answer for me, and I think I also think that you're saying about the Champions League point. I don't believe that. I'll be honest. I think Liverpool are so huge, and Bellingham's not stupid. He knows that. First of all, look, if you want guaranteed Champions League football, then of course go to Real Madrid. But you could also go to Atletico Madrid if you want to guarantee Champions League football. If you want to win things and be in an amazing stadium and be a part of all those things, Liverpool will continue to be that, and you can see the team around it. I think he could have the foresight. I think Odegaard's had the foresight to do that. Some of these Arsenal players, they were nowhere near the Champions League, so I don't think that's the end of the world from that point of view, the Champions League football thing. But yeah, let's finish with this with Liverpool, because I think again this is always really interesting to do. Who just reel off the names for me, mate. Who are the names? Who are the names for Liverpool that are the future of Liverpool, that you want to be the future? No.
What, that are already there?
That are already here right now and right in front of me.
Oh, Harvey Elliott. I really like Harvey Elliott. Basetic as well. He's performed amazingly. Absolute legend of a player. I want to say a bit more from Calvin Ramsey. I don't know if he's been injured or not, but I haven't really seen much of him. Feels like he don't exist.
But surely from front, Alisson's class, right? Alexander-Arnold, you don't want to give up on him just yet. Konate's the future.
Oh, I thought you meant young players. Sorry. But yeah.
No, that's okay. So Van Dijk, I mean, as a question mark that seems to be there at the moment. Robertson's not finished. He's got a good few years left. Fabinho, that's up for grabs. I think the midfield, you're starting to struggle there, but you're right. Harvey Elliott, Carvalho, you'd want to give an opportunity to. Haven't seen the best of Artur yet. Salah, you're not going to give up on just yet. Jota's got time. Nunez, you want to give time. Diaz, you want to give time. Gakpo as well. So it is the midfield. It does need sorting out. But if you're not going to get Bellingham, I don't think you should panic, personally.
It's just Fabinho. I know Sander Berg or someone like that wouldn't play in Fabinho's position, but I just desperately think we need a replacement, just a short-term 6-month replacement. Even someone like Frank Kessié.
Do you know what's happening here? You're looking in your closet and you go, I haven't bought anything for ages, and you just want to go out and buy something. That's what it is, mate. I get it. I understand. I'm the same with QPR. I'm like, just buy. Well, we're not winning, so buy something. I get it. I feel exactly the same about QPR right now. But I just wonder. If it means not having someone now and not getting Champions League football, but having Bellingham for the next 10 years, I would stay strong.
That's very optimistic of you, James.
Well, that's me, all right? That's just me. Noah, thank you so much, mate. Great to talk to you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
We don't have a Brentford fan. I don't think we can find one. There are none. It's a joke. Where are we? Let's go to Fulham. Metro's on fire. Beep up, beep up, boop doo doo. Metro's on fire. Ooh. Are you there?
You all right? Can you hear me?
Metro's on fire. Is that you?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
What's your actual name?
Andrew.
Imagine if it was Metro's on fire. Okay, let's talk Fulham. Mate, killing it. Absolutely killing it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I hate Fulham. Absolutely despise Fulham. But there's nothing I can do. Like, it's just so good. Polinia's just the most ridiculous signing. I don't know how you got him in the first place.
No, he's
he's
been
so Sasa Lukic you've brought in. Thoughts on him? Did you need to strengthen the midfield? It's been pretty solid. Is it more about depth?
100% about depth. And I mean, with how well Polinia's playing, you start to wonder, like, is he too good to be here?
Yeah.
And he's on a long-term deal, so if he does end up going, hopefully we'll get good money for him. But I think when we've started to bring off Reed towards the end of the game, you're bringing in Kearney as a holding midfielder, and that's not really his role. I don't think he's been great in that position, so I definitely think if Sasa Lukic can play there, that would help out a lot. So I think it's a good signing. Actually made a lot of sense in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and you talk about the signs that you've made. You've got it, just got it spot on. People come in and really like Reed's a different player, probably because of Polinia. Definitely because of Polinia. Pereira's been wonderful. Mitrovic's been wonderful. And to be honest, it's more a mindset thing than anything. Willian's been good. Who would have said that?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Do you think it's not even about the players, is it? It's about it's got to be about the manager here.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly something's working because whatever, it just feels different this year. It feels like there's a little more cohesiveness and, the passion seems to be there. I don't know, you watch Polinia play and he plays with a level of passion that you don't see from a lot of other players. And I think that's spread throughout the team.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's coming from. Probably manager. But Tim Ream is a different level of player than we've ever seen, and he's 35.
I keep trying to say get rid of him, and he keeps proving me wrong. He's absolutely amazing. So I think the question with Fulham is, although you're kind of bringing in some of these players, is one, like you said yourself, can you keep a hold of them? I think the two obvious ones, Polinia and Mitrovic, are the two that you would wonder about. Do you see Mitrovic being that sort of Zaha type player who stays with you long term? Because I agree with you. We're talking about Liverpool. Polinia wouldn't be a bad shout for Liverpool, would he?
No, yeah. I'm seeing all these top 6 clubs going, we want a kind of holding midfielder. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, no. Where are you going to find one of those?
Yeah.
He's 27. He's been brilliant. Hopefully we can hang on to him. I think he's the one I think is more likely to leave. I think Mitrovic, weirdly, I don't know. I just feel like clubs aren't going to be as keen on him just because he's not quite as flashy.
Yeah.
Like, he's not super. Like, if you watch a full Fulham game, like, he makes a lot of really important touches, but really he looks a little quiet until the goal goes in. And I think that clubs would be a little bit sheepish away from signing him. But hopefully he stays with us.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, just enjoy this year. Enjoy this year, see what you can do.
Yeah.
And see who you can keep a hold of. And actually, it's about thinking about next year, like, who is your replacement for Polinia? Who's your replacement for Mitrovic, possibly in time? Like, how many years can you get out of Willian? It's old school Fulham. It really is old school Fulham in terms of what you've done there. It's absolutely fantastic. Mate, thank you so much for joining me. It's one of those where it's kind of all's a bit too rosy for Fulham, so there's not too much to talk about, sadly. But
totally.
But they're killing it. A nice little connection with Arsenal as well. You're the Arsenal, or you're Arsenal's Man City, if that makes sense. You're kind of pinching some really good players. It's smart stuff.
Get right down on the bottom.
All right, dude. Good stuff.
All right.
Lovely to chat to you. Thank you. Right. Here we go. Where are we off to? Brighton. Brighton late, not Brighton early, because they're so high up in the division. Jack boy, you there?
Hello.
Was that Jack boy?
Yeah, it is. How you doing, mate?
I'm gonna stab in the dark. I imagine you're called Jack.
Yep, definitely, mate.
Take it out.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's talk about your team's well good as well.
I know, mate. I know. I mean, it's weird. Like, I've been it's been weird, no, because I've been supporting Brighton since 2010. So, like, I remember growing up watching the Premier League with teams like Stoke and QPR, and you know, like those teams that I inspired to be, sort of thing. And we're in that position now, mate. We're, you know, every season it's looking like we're going to finish top 10, top 12. And whoever we get rid of, we just find replacements. So it's incredible. And yeah, where we are right now, 6th place. I mean, after Potter left in September, I would have never have thought that, you know. So it is absolutely brilliant, mate.
And, you know, taking on the likes of Liverpool and just out and out being better than them, like, absolutely amazing. I mean, I've got to ask you about these signings because we might be talking about these guys pretty soon, I imagine. Yeah. I just wonder if you've been able to get any intel on them because I don't know too much about them. So Jamie Mullins, Facundo Buonanotte, and Yassin Ayari. Tell me about those three because they're probably going to be stars in the future, Brendan.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Jamie Mullins. I think he's probably going to just go straight into the sort of under-21s for the time being. Facundo Buonanotte is someone we've been looking up for the last sort of year or two. He's 18. He's Argentina. He plays cam. Sounds like someone familiar in our current team in World Cup winner McAllister. So you know we've got that replacement there in a year or two's time where someone poaches McAllister. And yeah, Yassin Ayari. I think it's a really sensible signing, that one, because all window it's been, especially the last week, it's all been about Caicedo. Will he leave? Will he not? What price? And he can play centre mid and right wing apparently. So it's quite an interesting, versatile option that we've got there. We obviously lost Mwepu. Sadly, he had to retire. So the window's sort of been about that midfield and trying not to break it up because that's where we dominate. That's what you know, where our forms come from is all about that midfield. And yeah, Caicedo, I mean, it's an interesting one. The reports are that Arsenal have fully come out of it, and it's only Chelsea. Apparently, if the Fernandes deal breaks down, there might be a late bid from Chelsea, but Brighton's stance is that we're not selling him at this point due to the fact there's only 6 hours left, so we can't really get a replacement in time.
Yeah.
And there'll be a huge bidding war in the summer for him. Huge.
Nice.
And every Brighton fan knows he's going in the summer, but we're okay with it because with the business we make, you know, sell Trossard, get Mitoma. It's wonderful right now.
Oh, it's amazing, and it's nice to be smart, isn't it? Like,
that's I found. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. But I found it funny that the Palace fan was saying that it's not to bring it up because we're rivals, but the Palace fan was saying, how long can you be sensible for? I mean, Brighton's the best example of it. Like, as long as you're getting in that sort of top 10 and you're having fun with it. I mean, this is the best we can hope for. You know, now that Newcastle have joined the money race. You know, a club like Brighton, you said like earlier with the Southampton fan, everyone wants to be the Brighton. So we're just enjoying it.
Totally agree with you. And yeah, the Mwepu point is a really good one as well. To not have him and to still be in the games like you are, it's absolutely amazing. It's like, you know, who have been your best 4 players of last year? McAllister, Trossard, Basuma, Mwepu, Trossard, all going
Ben White
or gone.
A few seasons ago.
All going or gone, right? But you keep finding new guys. It's so smart.
This season, this season could have been derailed so many times with Potter, with, you know, De Zerbi coming in. We weren't sure how he would do in the Premier League. You know, he'd been in the Champions League, I think, with Shakhtar, but we don't know how tested he was for this league. And yeah, everyone we lose, we just seem to find that replacement. So, I mean, for the rest of the season, honestly, you look at the table right there. We've got 2 games in hand on Tottenham. I mean, we win those, and they're against Bournemouth and Palace. We'll go into the top 5, and who knows? Like you said, with Newcastle tightening up a little bit, Man United, you know, they've lost Eriksen. I know they're looking at Sabitzer, but yeah, who knows? Champions League football could be on, mate. Like it's a bizarre season. You called it the other day. You said in one of your videos that your call for Champions League. If there was a shock, it could be Brighton. But
Why
who
not?
knows?
Why not?
Yeah,
Mate, I hope you do
got a
it.
dream.
I do hope you do it. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're giving us hope. You're giving us hope, mate. Well, yeah, keep enjoying it, mate. I mean, we'll be talking about Buonanotte. Hopefully not him, actually. Yeah, it's easier to say. In the coming months. All right, mate. All the best.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Right, see you later, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, pal. Sam. Tottenham. Sam, you there?
I'm here, mate.
Hello, mate. From blind optimism to Sam. Hey, Sam. How are you? Where are you at with? Are you a sort of a Levy hater?
Massively, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
I don't get it. I don't get the Levy hate.
If you went from just yesterday, like 2 days ago, ecstatic, thinking this is a good window. Yesterday, waking up, Porro's off over 2.6 mil.
But it's on now, though, isn't it? You've signed him.
Yeah, but it's...
So what are you moaning about?
It's been a month to pay a release clause. It shouldn't be that hard.
But isn't that negotiations? Isn't that just business?
Yeah, it's difficult because managers
I honestly don't get it. I do not get it. Like, time and again, he's gone for big managers. He's brought in before that. He brought in a young manager who turned out to be amazing that other people haven't spotted yet. That he spent a decent amount of money over time. The club commercially is flying, and in time you will be able to continue to compete with these other huge sides. I think he's smart, isn't he? What am I missing? What am I missing?
Like the managers ask for players, and he always goes for the cheap option. We wanted Bastoni, we got Longley on loan. It just shouldn't work that way at a top six club.
But then so what do you want to do? Chelsea? Do you want to be Chelsea? Do you want to do what they're doing?
I think that's extreme. Ironically, I'd like an Arsenal. They seem to get rid of the deadwood. They spend the money on the right people, and they just back the manager 100%.
I'd spin it a little bit. I think the problem could be the manager a little bit in this scenario, or the managers, because it's just been the mindset's been very defensive. But you could spin the Arsenal. Look, Arteta's they've been really smart, but they've also walked away from a lot of stuff. And so that's just part of it, is it not?
It is, but I just feel like the manager might be the issue. I'm Conte in until he's gone, and then I'm Conte out. It's De Zerbi. If I can get De Zerbi in the summer, that's class. But Conte, he's a born winner. He's got to do it, surely. If there's any man for the job, he is the man, surely.
I mean, I think the thing that is always regularly happens with Tottenham with Conte is that it turns incredibly sour, and for reasons that aren't that are a little bit brattish, if I'm honest. Where he just wants more, wants this player, wants that player, and Tottenham, we can't always get that player. That's just a bottom line. So you have to grow them a little bit. That's what Pochettino did. Now, in terms of some kind of critique about Levy when Pochettino was there and he was close and just needed that little bit of investment, I get that. And if you add that on, I'm not really counting that bit. If I add that bit of frustration on, then fine. That was an opportunity. But I think with the stadium happening, he was just being a little bit more careful. But that's what Pochettino did with Tottenham and couldn't get them over the line is what's happening with Arteta to a point here. They're all young, exciting players.
Yeah, I feel like we need to invest in the right areas. And at the minute, our defence is awful. Like, if you look at the league, you have to go down to 13th place to see a team that has conceded as many goals as us.
Yeah.
Like, we're investing in our attack, in our midfield, but we went from having one of the best defences in the league to just being awful. I'm just not a fan.
But So Porro comes in. Porro should hopefully help with that. Spencer's gone to Rennes. Doherty, who no one could say his name. Everyone called him Doherty. Doherty, going to Atletico Madrid, which is interesting. I come back to the manager though, where I would suggest that you're playing five at the back, and you're conceding goals. Whose fault's that? It can't be
It's-
Levy's fault. It can't be.
It's the manager, yeah, but the players. Like, you shouldn't be able to have Ben Davis and Dyer at the back. It just doesn't work. I think if we get Bastoni and maybe Kim Min-jae in, and then we look like we're really good.
Yeah.
It just solidifies it way better.
I think the problem is that it feels so much more sluggish when you play so sluggishly. That's
Definitely.
So when it's a bit more fun, like you've got 5 more points than Brighton, but Brighton are just fun, aren't they? That's the
Yeah.
difference. And again, expectations obviously is a big part of it. But so in terms of this window, Danjuma, Porro,
Danjuma,
as the
class.
pieces start to come together, what would you rate this window?
It's a 5 out of 10. We're making some of the right moves. Like, we did need a right wing back, and the attacking option that he gives is just so class.
Yeah.
And Danjuma, again, even just against Preston in his first game, demanding the ball, frustrated at the team when not looking at the passes that were needed. It shows real want. But I just think we need a long-term successor for Lloris. Alban Lafont, I really want. And then just 2 centre-backs, I think will be good.
Okay, final very quick question, right? Let me know in the chat, and be honest. What was your mark out of 10 of the window in the summer? When it slammed shut? What did you say? What would you have said? You thought what?
I thought 8 out of 10.
You thought 8 out of 10.
Now
Okay.
I'm thinking 5.
Now you're thinking 5. So who's that on? Is that on Levy?
You put me in a tough spot. Yeah.
Well, I'm just holding up the mirror, son. I'm just holding up the mirror. Okay. Thank you, mate. Mate, that was interesting. I wish we had more time, but I've got a child, and I really should be downstairs, but it doesn't matter. We've got to get through to the end. Thank you, mate, Sam. Appreciate it. Definitely come on again, please. Good man. Man United, Reece Siddle. RS, I call him. Reece, are you there? That sounds like Reece.
Hello.
Hi, Reece.
Props on getting my name right.
What do people say?
Seidel, Sidal.
So I went Siddle. Sidal. I mean, I would have put money on me getting it wrong, but that's a victory. That's a victory. Right. I think we're gonna have to do the future question with you. But Sabitzer, is that? Do we have any intel on that? Do we know what the deal is? Is it done?
Well, in the last sort of 5 minutes, it's come through that he's sort of said bye to his teammates. So I imagine we're on the cusp.
Yeah, I mean, it is 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
People are reading into it, aren't they? Go. He's just going, "Oh, guys, I'm off." And they're like, "Oh, he's off." But I mean, maybe he is off. I think this is one. This is you're starting to get it now, don't you think? If you can get Sabitzer, I mean, the money will be interesting. What kind of money will it be?
To see if it's a loan with option to buy, or if it's literally just to fill Eriksen's gap.
Okay, right, yes. Well, Ornstein Stop Search says has just tweeted Sabitzer is done. I think this is that's a good question. Is it a replacement, or I think with Eriksen, obviously the older he gets as well, I think he's being run into the ground a little bit, don't you?
Absolutely.
And I don't think Fred and McTominay, let's do the future question. Here we go. So just run through the names. Hopefully you've been watching everyone else. Just give me the names. Who are the future? Who are the next 3-4 years of this football club?
Dalot, I think if he can keep his levels up and stay fit, which is always an issue. Varane, Martinez, both left backs are fine. Sabitzer, if we keep him, I think he deserves time to come in. Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho Anthony, and then Rashford. They're who I would say would be the keepers.
That's good. Eriksen, Casemiro, understandably, because he's a bit older, you're not so sure. I get it. Okay, so and let me know if anyone thinks any other names are still the future. I think you're spot on there, mate. I think that's absolutely bang on. And I think that this is such a good question. God, I'm good. Because it allows you to kind of go, okay, where are the areas where, you can get that little bit better? And the midfield is...
Well.
Sorry?
there are options for us as well.
Yes. What between now and the end of the window, or you mean moving forward, or
Moving
youth
forward,
team?
definitely moving forward.
Are there any of those youngsters as well? Like, is it Zidane Iqbal is one, isn't he?
So that's the thing with Sabitzer coming in. If he is just alone, will he hinder Iqbal's progression or Mainu's progression coming through? Whereas if it is just a stopgap, I would have preferred maybe some game time for the youngsters. But
yeah, because how do you see that this season is now the time to sort of do that, or do you want to still be kind of making that push for? I don't know.
I think we need
not
to
the title. I don't think you're in it.
Stabilize top 4.
Yeah, you just want to secure that, don't you? Really? Do you think
Yeah, and then we
do you think
can
you'll be able to secure that regardless of if you played the youngsters or not?
It's hard to say because when they have played, I mean, Amenu came on for a little cameo against Reading. He did look very, very calm on the ball. He didn't look too, what's the word, erratic, or it didn't look like the occasion was too big for him.
Right.
But I mean, and next to Casemiro, if you can stop getting suspended and stay fit, then really anyone can sort of play there and he will help them through. But I think in breaking teams down, Eriksen will be a massive, massive loss.
Yeah, no, massively. And I think his intelligence without the ball is something I'm always really impressed with, because I expect him to be a bit flimsy. He's actually not. He's just super smart. But I think in Sabitzer, and David Ornstein saying here, Man United close agreement. That means I think they've got it, not close to agreement, to sign Sabitzer, 28-year-old, set to fly in, straight loan. What is a straight loan these days? Is that just wages? I don't know what straight loan is anymore, because normally there's a bit of money involved. I think this is such a great one because he can play in so many little different positions for the team. 28,
absolutely.
He's played big games, he's played in major tournaments, and he's a little bit unlucky because I think I was chatting to Tim, who's my sort of German football guru, and asked him about Sabitzer, and he was saying that actually a lot of the Bayern Munich fans would love to see him play more, but they've got Gravenberch there, who they've obviously spent a decent amount of money on. He's young, they're trying to get him right. Kimmich is always going to start. Yeah, they've got Goretzka knocking about as well. So, because I saw Paul Merson saying, "Oh, he doesn't even start for Bayern Munich, so why would you get him in?" And I was like, "Come on, Paul." Like,
it's just lazy, isn't it?
Little bit. It's like you've heard the report and now you're going to say something. I get it. We've all done it. But Sabitzer's a good player, and actually someone that I don't think wilts. I think that's a crucial thing. He's not, he's a man, and I think that will really, really help in terms of be it a straight loan or if it then turns into something different. I think the straight loan element of it maybe means that there's no obligation to buy, which is quite.
I would have liked maybe an option to buy for maybe 40 million, because with the new owners coming in, we don't know how they're going to spend. So if Ten Hag does like him, that option's there to get him, then it would have been nice to to have that to fall back on.
All right, mate. Mate, lovely to chat to you.
You too, mate. I appreciate it.
Sadalala. Have a good week, mate. I'll chat to you soon, I'm sure. Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Newcastle, Callum Clems. Huge night for Callum. What a big night it is for Callum. Wow. Newcastle United on the verge of their first cup final since 1999, I want to say. How you feeling, Callum?
I'm buzzing, to be quite honest.
I bet you bloody are.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought I would have been in this order, coming in at third.
Yeah, you've got to be buzzing with this, mate. I'm just going to bump up your volume a little bit so people can hear. You've got a lovely, lovely, smooth voice there. It feels silly to talk about transfers, really. When you've got a game like this tonight. I'll be honest, I was going to stream it, and I kind of want to, but I have had no sleep at all. So
you got a newborn now, so I mean.
Yeah, so I'm, for my own good, I might just watch it and enjoy it that way. But I am so. Do you know what? I'm so excited for you guys because, okay, you got all the money. We get it. But the way you've spent it so far, you're still so ahead of the curve, and so this feels a little so unexpected, doesn't it? And although it's the League Cup, and like in 5 years' time, you'll be turning your nose up at this competition. But for right now, to get to a final and have the opportunity to go to Wembley, you're still in that mindset of, of every other team, and it's like the atmosphere. Are you going tonight? Are you from around the area?
I'm from around there, but I don't go.
Oh, you're not going. Oh, okay, because that atmosphere is just going to be outrageous, isn't it? I've always wanted to go to St James's Park. Let's briefly talk about your the players coming in. Then I don't know if we've popped them in, but Gordon's obviously come in. I think the obvious question is: have you overspent for Gordon? Is this the first one where you've gone a little bit too far with it? I've got him as a left wing here actually, but he can obviously play on the right as well. He can play it as part of a two. How do you feel about that signing and the money you've spent on it?
Yeah, I would probably say that we have overspent on what we've seen from him so far. But I guess when you take into the fact that he doesn't take up a squad place, he's homegrown, and you know Everton needed the money. It's January, the price is always inflated, so I don't think it's the worst deal. I mean, Chelsea were prepared to pay 60 for him or something in the summer, so it's not the best deal, but I probably wouldn't say it's the worst.
Well, I remember I was doing Sky Sports News in the summer, and we were talking about Anthony Gordon, and they were kind of going, "Oh, do Everton want to sell?" I was like, "Definitely sell. You can get 60 million for this guy who's got you 3 goals. Ultimately, if you use that Moneyball approach, you need to find 4 goals. Like so, I think the truth is that he's 21. He's better than you've probably seen at Everton because he's playing in a team that's not overly functional. He's kind of been left on his own to do something. He is a bit of a live wire there, and he obviously wanted to move on. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with you guys. Do you see him on the left-hand side or do you see him on the right-hand side for Newcastle? Surely St Maximin, when fit, you're
Yeah,
play on the left-hand side?
I'd prefer him on the right as Miggy's goals have dried up. His performances have still been a lot better than what they used to, but you would think you play on the right, but Howe just doesn't seem to really want to play Maxi much, or at least start with him. I think when he wants to start and play this extremely high press, and that's just not really what Maxi is about. I mean, he's gotten a bit better at it, but he's not going to continuously chase balls like Willock and Joelinton do. So he may play on the left a bit more, and then that gives Willock a rest because we've currently got no spare midfielders. We've got a centre midfielder 3, but we've got 4 midfielders. But Willock's playing on the left, so we're playing all of our midfielders right now. So an injury would could derail the season a bit.
Yeah, I think with 5 subs these days, it's about those options, and that is the thing is that at the moment you're good at stopping the opposition, and then you let Guimaraes do his thing. The interesting thing, if you play Gordon, does Gordon play that Almiron role? It might be
that's
where your straight swap is.
That's what I think you'll be best at. But
yeah, because Joelinton's and Willock work this sort of left-hand side and just offer a lot of energy, and then allow the whole idea is to let Trippier get on the ball, but also allow Almiron to kind of go beyond your centre forward. So I think it's about depth, isn't it? Because in this team, in this game, literally this game, you could have brought on Gordon, Isaac, and St Maximin if everyone's fit. That's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yes, it's it's the best thing. It's just sort of getting out some of these players that aren't gonna play and aren't good enough. Maybe like your Ryan Fraser, and then you come to a stage where instead of Almiron starting, but you're bringing him on, and that's just such an improvement to what we've got. Where we're currently bringing on Jacob Murphy, and God bless him, but he's not the best footballer.
No, he's a decoy, isn't he? He's literally a decoy runner. Reece Walkup saying, and I think this paints quite a picture, really. Fraser and Darlow are both going to Hull. Darlow is and they're both wanted by Hull and Burnley. And I'm not having to go to Hull and Burnley, but for a team that's trying to get in the Champions League and win cups, if your players are being linked with those clubs, league below, then it shows just how well Eddie Howe's done, but also how much a couple of signings, although it is starting to turn into a whole team now, actually, as we look at it, how it can kind of change your fortunes. One more signing before deadline day, if you could do it, where would it be?
I think what business is definitely done, but the position I would probably say Kone from Gladbach or Neves in that 6 row, but they won't get done till the summer. So,
okay. Yeah, and I guess you got time, or do you go for it? That's the question. Right, mate. Thank you very much. Good luck tonight. Good luck to Southampton as well, Ben. Don't get angry.
We're going to Wembley. We're going to Wembley.
Going to Wembley. Well, yeah, they do. I did see a video of people saying they're kind of talking like you're already there. So we must beware hubris.
This could go terribly wrong, but I think everyone's just on a high.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. And I think at home you'd be amazed if it didn't work out. Right, let's talk Man City and Arsenal. Muhis is a Man City fan. Come on down.
Right. All right.
Hello, mate.
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, João Cancelo. Let's talk about it.
Yes. Right. So,
how do you feel about
wild
this?
48 hours.
I was kind of like, I was weirdly fine with it. Personally.
Yeah, I think I feel the same kind of. Yeah. Like, to be honest, it's if anything I've learned from the past 6 years with Pep is that I kind of trust him to know that what he wants, and if he feels like someone's in the dressing room is kind of causing chaos, then just let him leave. It seems to have worked well for the last few times.
So have you heard anything about that? Because I think that's where people are going, aren't they? They're kind of going, oh, hang on a minute. He's not been playing for a couple of weeks, kicked off.
The Athletic, Sam Lee did a really good article, I think either last night or this morning or something like that, and it's just like it seemed to have been boiling over since the coming back after the World Cup, not playing. Rico Lewis starting at right back, and then Ake moving out to left back, and then he just had no game time. He just caused a fuss. It's also like before he came, there was the issues with Juve and Benfica before that when he started. Like if he doesn't play enough, then he'll start to cause a fuss. So it just seems to have happened with us as well.
I think that the thing that is a little bit surprising is this possible lack of depth. Now this squad that we've got here actually probably isn't the formation that you're really playing anymore, to be honest. Although it kind of
no.
You've always got this guy who's coming into the centre here. Rico Lewis. I mean, God, I've got that wrong.
Yeah.
We did a video where we were saying like one player that could go or needs to go.
Yeah, I remember.
It was like there's no player that needs to go really. But if I've got to pick someone, I'm going to go with him. God, it's so wrong. He's so good.
So wrong.
He's like
fantastic.
He's a new kind of footballer. Even like the size of him, you'd think him being small would be a problem, but it's not. It's actually useful in that position that he's playing there. And so I think, do you know what I think the big shock is? I think a lot of people have had to go back because so many people were sucking off Cancelo for so long. So and I get it. He was brilliant. He was
fantastic. Even though he's left on bad terms, he was fantastic.
He was, but I think people were so hard on that one that they're kind of going, how could you? How could you? But it's always been about the system 9 times out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
And I think most players will leave. Most players will leave Man City, and won't look as good.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Key system players. So like Bernardo Silva, he will leave, and I don't think you'll think he's as good.
Oh, I disagree. I think he'll be fantastic wherever he goes. I think someone like I don't know, Rodri might not look as good if he went somewhere else. I think he's been fantastic, but he's very much a system player.
Yeah, right.
But
I think maybe Bernardo Silva's not totally right. I think the thing I would say though, I bet you though, the world wouldn't think he's as good. Like he wouldn't be seen as like the problem now for a lot of people is that
is interesting.
My point is, you disagree. It's fine. You can say that. The thing with João Cancelo is that he wasn't starting for Portugal in some of these World Cup games as well. So it's not just Man City.
Yeah, no, that was shocking. Yeah, he clearly is.
I wonder if we all went. I think we maybe went overboard with a few players. We've gone overboard with a few players over the last couple of years, but it's amazing for him to have the gumption, Guardiola, to just solve it. You know, Fergie always said, if you're going to make a bad decision, make it early. And he can't. Yeah. Well, actually, has he done it early or has he done it late? Maybe he's done it late with it being a January transfer window.
No, I think he's done it about probably right time. Like just see it out, because this thing, Mahrez was on the bench. It's been on the bench ages, and he's having the best form of his life right now. And it seems like certain players are just willing to play in rotation and just know that their time will come again. Like Laporte was out of form for a bit, and then you had Stones out of form for a bit, and everyone eventually comes back in. Like nobody's ousted unless they want to oust themselves.
So moving forward, who's your left back for the rest of the season, or do you?
It'll probably be Ake. It'll probably be Ake for the rest of the season. Sergio Gomez I think some City fans have been pretty rough on Gomez, but I think he's been thrown into a system that's really difficult. Came from Anderlecht. It's just a bit. I think he needs more time to develop and kind of just go through it. But yeah, it'll be left back, and if Ake gets injured, then it'll be Laporte moving out to left back, and it's just we're starting to look really thin then. Even though the quality's high, just the depth is quite it's getting quite minimal.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing, isn't it? I think we can come back and go, with a club with the money that you've been able to spend, to not have depth seems odd, doesn't it? But time will tell.
Yeah, it's Zinchenko being the one that's the
Yes.
roughest out of all the departures in the past few years. Zinchenko seems like just the worst one. Like every City fan loved him at the time, and he got an ovation at the Etihad the past week, and bit rough.
Okay, mate. Well,
right.
We will see.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Good work.
In a bit.
Okay. Last but not least, Arsenal. Right. I want to talk about Jorginho. Bolu A.
Hello.
Are you there?
Hi there, Mr. Allcott. Even. How you doing?
Hello, mate. I'm good. Let's talk about Arsenal. Let's talk about Jorginho. Let's talk about this Edu out nonsense that I've seen on Twitter today. Please tell me that you're not using that hashtag today of Edu out. So if anyone doesn't know, because Arsenal are going to sign or have signed Jorginho, right? Have they signed him?
Yeah, we have signed him.
We have signed him for 12 mil, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, 12 mil. Yeah.
12 mil. They signed Jorginho. Fans want Edu out. Thoughts on this, Bolly?
So I'm clearly not Edu out. I think they've both done a great job, Edu and Arteta. I can understand the sort of resentment towards the Jorginho signing because he doesn't seem like an Arsenal type of player, if that makes sense. He's not particularly mobile. He's not particularly sort of the most physical. But technically, I think he's superb. He's great on the ball. So yeah, I think it suits Mikel Arteta. He seems to have been an admirer for quite some time. So I don't really doubt the signing. I think if Mikel Arteta wants him, then I'm happy. But I can understand that we've been chasing Caicedo for half of this window. It seems like, and it feels like with El Neni, the injury, I think to him the long-term injury is forced their hand to sort of rush to get a midfielder.
Yeah.
That's resulted in Jorginho.
So yeah, with El Neni out, so for those of you who don't know, he's got an injury and he's going to be up for a good few months. So that does hurt you somewhat. With the Jorginho thing, I've got to say it makes complete sense in the right games for Jorginho to be a part of the team. Now, if anyone hasn't seen it, go watch the Man United reaction. I think I speak about it there. And the thing we were talking about is the way that they utilise the midfield area of the pitch. And probably find it for you quickly. But the way they use the centre of the pitch, all you need is a great, not deep line playmaker because you're not going to play deep, but what you would get from Arsenal and from Jorginho in this team, it makes complete sense to me against the lesser sides where you're going to be playing against a low block and you want to control the game. Now, you might get done on the counter-attack, but the way that Arsenal play and the way that Partey plays. Now, Partey, for whatever reason you want to go into, if he wasn't available to play for Arsenal and Jorginho comes into the team. Are you going to see it here? Where is it? Partey's a little bit deeper here. I might be able to draw it on here because they get into different positions. Jorginho, often, you need a pivot player who can get on the ball, but he has generally always got players around him. If he's in this area, he's got 1-2. He'll have Saka out wide. He's got options all the time. They're so well drilled. And so well drilled that as long as you've got a player who's quick with their mind, is a 3-touch player, if you have that player that sits right there, which Partey does time and time again, and has all these options to pass to, you're going to be absolutely fine. Forget the 5.
Yeah,
because that's
I agree.
He's going to be absolutely fine. And I think he'll run it. He'll run the game. He'll move the ball quickly. The one concern you would have with him is defensively, in defensive transition, where he could get done. But the difference actually with that is the fact that the way that Arsenal defend, you bring in your fullbacks a lot of the time, don't you? So he'll have a bit of help in the centre of the pitch. So he won't be alone there, really. They kind of leave the spaces out here and out here.
I think comparing him to how he was at Chelsea does a bit of a disservice compared to how our system works defensively. You'll have the 2 centre-backs behind. You'll have Zinchenko and Ben White on either side of him. You'll have sort of Odegaard supporting him slightly in front. And we're going to be going for the Prem and the European Yeah, so the Europa League.
Yeah.
And I think in the Europa League, that I wouldn't particularly say that the quality of the teams there are too scary for an Arsenal team. I think Barcelona, Manchester United, maybe Juventus would say the most threatening teams still in it.
Yeah.
So I think that he would suit playing in that Europa League, giving Partey some rest, playing against lower teams in the Premier League, and just he does the passing well, he does interceptions well, he does tackling well. He's not the great sort of most mobile for blocks and the other defensive aspects, but I think he does what we need him to do for a year and a half. So.
I totally agree. And I think the difference is this isn't. I think there's a bit of a feeling of William Gallas, other Chelsea players that have kind of gone over there when it's not been going. Petr Cech. No, it was the other way around, wasn't it? No, it was that way around. He did all right, didn't he, at Arsenal, to be fair to him. But I think the thing is, especially Willian, the most recent one, Willian went in when the club was in a real mess. And it didn't work with him, and they got rid of him pretty quickly. The difference is Arsenal will dominate 90% of their games now. They have such a clear pattern of play. And if you take Partey out and you put Jorginho in there and you have the ball 60, 70% of the time, it might tweak it a little bit, but especially against teams that play a low block, I think he'll be of huge use. And you're right, the Europa League, even the fact of the respite that you would provide someone like Partey while still being able to control and win games, you take out Partey from those Europa League games, save him for the Premier League games, let Jorginho focus on that. And again, I think it just gives you huge control. And he's got Zinchenko with him, Ben White with him, defensive solidity around him. He's not actually going to be in a double pivot with fullbacks bombing on like he has at Chelsea, where you then get that little bit more exposed. I get the you never like to buy a player from a London rival, but I think it's really smart.
I think that's what's put people off the most is the fact that we're sort of giving money to Chelsea again. And, it seems that the 6 purchases I think we've done from Chelsea have been players over 30. And it feels like people are fearful of repeating the same mistakes like you mentioned with Cech and Willian. But I think we have to trust Edu and Arteta. They've gotten us to first. And, we have to just trust in them again.
Absolutely. And do you know what? So I tell you what, because I might clip this up and put this out otherwise. So if you haven't seen the live stream, I've asked this question to a few different fans, and I'm going to ask it to you, Bolu.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone through the squads and we've asked who are the future of their club. And some clubs have a lot of players. Leicester City didn't have many. Aston Villa had a few more. I think we did the same with Man United. They had a few more. Let's have a look at Arsenal. Run through this team, the squad. How many players do you think should be part of the future of the next 3 or 4 years of Arsenal? Because, sorry, just to set this up, because I know where this is going. I did a video, find it on my channel. I said it's going to take till 2023 for Arsenal to sort this mess out when it came to contracts and things like that. And sort of suggesting that you've got to give Arteta and Edu that moment of time. They are massively ahead of schedule for me, because for me it was like they're going to have to sort out this mess, and it'll still take them a little bit from there to go and actually possibly win something. But yeah, run through it now. As an Arsenal fan, how many of these players are you bang on certain are the future of the club?
Bang on certain, right. So I'd say Ramsdale, Turner,
he's gone Turner.
Tierney, Gabriel, Kivior, Saliba, Ben White, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Saka, Jesus, Nketiah, Martinelli. So I think that's 17. If we're talking about 2 to 3 years, I could see the likes of Trossard, Nelson, Marquinhos, Holding, Partey, Elneny and Xhaka, Jorginho moving on in the next 2 to 3 years. But we're talking about 17 players I think I could see us with still in definitely 3 years time.
Counted the 17 really quickly. That's amazing if that's correct. And that's it. I think that's why it's sort of... And do you know what? This is the thing, is that there are a few players that you've missed out on. The Mudryk, the Caicedo, but you might be able to add that. We've got this in red. This is still an area where Caicedo would fit into that spot there and maybe be the success.
I think Rice will fit that role.
Declan Rice as well. Yep.
Declan Rice is. If we get him, I will be over the moon. So,
are you relieved that you didn't spend that money on Caicedo, or are you disappointed that you didn't get him? And would you have spent the 80 or 70 million or whatever it might have been?
I would have been if we spent 80 million and it meant we didn't get Declan Rice in the summer. I would have regretted it and I wouldn't have been happy. If we sort of bought Caicedo with 80 million, I think would have been the maximum I would be happy with, and it still meant we could get Declan Rice, and I would happily have paid it. But I'm fine with this being as as a backup option. At the end of the day, if Brighton don't want to sell him, they don't want to sell him. You can't force them to do so. So
Well, yeah, and you don't want to embarrass yourself either by wasting money that you could use.
Yeah.
There's always another player. I really do think there's always another player.
yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And that is a long old stream we've done here, guys, but I've bloody enjoyed it. Bolly, thank you, mate. Appreciate your time.
No, thank you so much. Love the show. Cheers.
Good man. All right, mate. Right, guys. So that is deadline day. That is every single team covered. Let me know how you're feeling about your squad and your deadline day. If you've watched this and enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next live, hit the like button as well. And again, get involved in the chat and our Discord server because there's a lot of good people in there. You've just heard from all of them. Massive thank you to every single one of them. What absolute legends they are. Catherine, Ali, FGC, Nando, all the guys that helped as well. All the moderators. I'm sure I've forgotten someone. Apologies, Rob, whoever else helped. Absolute heroes, the lot of you. We'll do it again, no doubt. As I said, hit the like button.